Hey everybody, so today we're going to be learning from Chapter 6, Lesson 3. This is going to be a really great lesson for us and an important lesson for math in this class and in future classes. Okay, so we're learning about algebra, variables, and expressions. And I promise you guys, you have been doing some of this in elementary school already. We're just going to practice it a little more, and we're going to use some letters as variables today. So let's get started. First thing we need to write down for our vocabulary is an algebraic expression. We learned in Lesson 2 what a numerical expression is, which is a combination of numbers and letters. An algebraic expression contains at least one variable and at least one operation. Okay, so let's write that down. Contains at least one variable and at least one operation. So remember, an operation is like addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. Okay. Now, we've talked about variables before as well, but let's write a formal definition down. So a variable is a symbol that is used to represent a number. And a lot of times in math, you'll see that symbol as a letter. Okay, so a variable is a symbol used to represent a number. I'm going to show a couple examples of when you have seen this in elementary school, because you have seen it. It's just going to look different than what we're going to do today. So in elementary school, you've probably seen something like this: 3 plus a square here, it's left blank, equals 5. Okay, so in elementary school, they probably asked you what should go in this square. So 3 plus something equals 5. So in here, this square is a symbol used to represent a number. And if you did this, you'd probably guess that 3 plus 2, so you'd put 2 in the square, equals 5. Okay, so it's just one way to represent a number. Another way that you may have seen this in elementary school is with a question mark. So question mark minus 4 equals 9. And you were probably asked, what is this question mark supposed to be? It's because this minus 4 equals 9. Okay? And using the relationship between 4 and 9, you probably guessed that 13 would go in place of this question mark. So this is just another symbol used to represent a number. Okay? Same thing that we're doing today, but in 6th grade and in your higher level math classes, you're most likely going to be using letters, and most commonly the letters X and Y. You can use any letter in the alphabet to represent a number, but we usually don't use the letter O, because the letter O looks like the number 0, and it can get confusing sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to write one more example. This example is going to be of how we are going to be using variables in this class. So let's say 35 divided by the letter A equals 7. Okay, so this letter that I'm using is a variable, and it represents a number. 35 divided by something equals 7. And that something is going to be the number 5, because 35 divided by 5 gives you 7. Okay, and I'm just going to quickly highlight all the symbols that we use to represent a variable. All right. And I'm just going to put right here the letter X is often used as a variable. Okay. X and Y, but mostly X you'll see used as a variable. All right. Now we're just going to show some different ways to multiply. We talked a little bit about this in class yesterday. Some of you noticed that I was using these little dots to say that I'm multiplying, and you asked me about them. So I just wanted to quickly review. So showing multiplication, there are many ways that I could show that I'm multiplying something. So if I'm using 5 times x, if I want to show 5 times x, there's a few different ways I can do it. One way is to do 5 dot x. Okay, so I'm multiplying a number times a variable. This dot tells me that I'm multiplying them. It's just another symbol to say that we're multiplying. 5 times x. Another way is by writing the number, and in parentheses you have another number or you have a variable. Okay, so 5 times x. This number, when it's close to this parentheses with no space in between and with no operation in between, it tells you that we are multiplying. This 5 is being multiplied inside these parentheses to whatever is inside the parentheses. In this case, it's just x. So it's 5 times x. Okay, and then another way is just 5 and x together. Okay, so there's no spaces in between, there's no operations in between. This tells you that they are being multiplied. Okay, so this also says 5 times x. Anytime you see a number and a letter close like this, that means they're being multiplied. Just going to highlight that these are all ways to say 5 times x. Okay. Now the last thing that we need to do is just show some examples of some expressions that we are going to be solving. So the word evaluate, I think we've talked about it before in class. The word evaluate just means to solve. I'm going to put solve in parentheses. So evaluate expressions. And to evaluate these expressions, we're going to be using some variables. Okay, and these variables, we're going to say what the variables represent, what number they represent, and we're going to use that information to help us solve, evaluate some expressions. So A equals 8, B equals 6, and C equals 2/3. Okay, so I'm going to use this information to solve some expressions. I'm going to write the expressions down here. So the expressions we're going to be solving is a plus 8, a times b, and 9c squared. Okay, so let's start with a plus 8. So a plus 8, first thing you need to do is copy down whatever the expression is on your paper or wherever you're doing it, so copy it down. And now we're going to replace replace or substitute whatever the variable is with the number. Okay, so let's put that over here. So spelt that wrong. Substitute which just means to replace the variable with a number and then solve. So I'm going to substitute this a with what it told me it equals right here. So over here it says a equals 8. I'm going to replace that. So a equals 8. Okay? And I'm going to bring this down, so then I have 8 plus 8 equals 16. I'm going to try this next one. A times b. Remember, when the letters are close together, there's no operation in between. It means multiply, just like over here. So a times b. I'm going to replace these with the numbers that they represent. So a represents 8 and b represents 6. I'm multiplying. Remember, this dot means multiply. 5 times x, 8 times 6. So 8 times 6 is 48. Okay, and last one, 9c squared. Okay, so I'm going to replace c, my variable, with the number that it told me it was. 9 times 2/3 squared. And I use parentheses to say that anything inside this parentheses is going to be squared. Okay? So then when I go to solve, it's going to be 9 times 2/3 times 2/3, because we know that 2/3 to the power of 2 means 2/3 times 2/3. And when I'm multiplying fractions, I'm just going to multiply the numerators, multiply the denominators. 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 3 is 9. Okay, now I need to multiply. Remember, when you see a number times something in parentheses, just like we see here, there's no operation in between, it means multiply. So I'm going to multiply this whole number with this fraction, which we've already learned to do. So it's going to be 9 times the numerator, which is 4. It's going to be 36 all over my denominator. 36 divided by 9 is 4. Okay? So, it's really important that we understand how to substitute, replace our variables with numbers when we are given numbers. Okay? That's what you're going to be practicing today. Remember, there are different ways to say times, to multiply, and that a variable is just a symbol used to represent a number.